Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Showcase on Nioh. Today's item, well, series, is for the heavy weapons. You can't really call it the hammers or the axes, cause you got a couple things in there. Even pickaxes. So, instead of just calling it, even has an axe icon, I'm just going to name it Heavy Weapons. Now, there's a very good question. What would you use heavy weapons in Nioh? A game where dodging takes precedence over blocking. It's a very good question. They're slow, they're clunky. They're powerful, but they're slow and they're clunky. Even in the fast stance, they're still slow. And this leaves a lot of problems with enemies parrying you and defending. But there's ways to move around it. And trust me, you notice my video's a bit longer, there's a reason why. I'll show why this weapon's one of the best. At least in my opinion. Now, here comes a bit of a strange part for lore. Japan, in feudal era, was not really known for heavy weapons. The majority of their heavy weapons were nikanas, or I believe I pronounced that right. But anyway, they were long poles with swords, like, sword-like tips at the end. And maybe a kambo, which is kind of like a club, but still made of wood. There could be multiple reasons why Japan didn't use heavy hammers and axes, per se. Mainly reason is they didn't need to. Their armor, well, compared to European counterparts, their armor is not as efficient. There's a lot of gaps. The amount of steel in Japan is rather insignificant compared to what European had in terms of steel. There's a lot more of it. So using such heavy weapons was rather pointless, when a spear could do the job just as well. You didn't need to smash through armor. There were plenty of gaps to jab around. So yes, the use of historical heavy weapons was not really there in feudal Japan, so an axe like this would be brought by foreigners. If it was actually used in combat, maybe. But in large battles, probably not. You know how slow it is. Alright, as I mentioned before the stances, these are rather heavy, slow weapons. As you can see, they take a lot of your ki, they even swing around. So it leaves you rather vulnerable after a combo, so you gotta be incredibly careful. So you gotta get your ki back immediately and dodge. Failure to do so will often get you hurt. That's if you don't kill your opponent. Alright, now for the high stance, you got incredibly powerful moves, but it uses almost all your ki up in just one combo. Like, you gotta be really careful with that ki consumption. The power move, as we see, it's a very fancy overhead slam. Can you even do that in real life? No, I don't think you can. And for even the quick stance and the most nimble one, it's still relatively slow. Like, that's pretty much the average speed of a katana. And even power attacks, they are moderately quick, but not really. Range varies across the board for this weapon as well. There's something interesting about the dodging. Here's the quick dodges. See, little dashes. That's interesting. However, the medium stance has a dash and roll. More range as we see. Funny, but it consumes more ki. And then with the high stance, you got the very short range roll. So medium stance is the best dodges. Now, how to use this? Well, it's pretty obvious. You overpower your enemy by sheer might of will. As you see, in one hit, I destroyed that guy's half his ki, and he went right into red. So yes, the heavy weapons have excellent ki damage. Makes sense. Someone blocking a katana against this giant axe just sounds absurd. That also has heavy damage. But as slow and clunky it is, your character is not any slower because of it. You can still dodge just fine, and efficiently too. So it's all about how you use the weapon, not the weapon itself. True that it's the slowest of all the weapon categories, but it makes up for it in my opinion, especially that damage. And there's also plenty of interesting skills with it. Now, about those skills, let's begin. With skills, okay, I thought only swords could parry, but apparently even axes can, and among more. As you see here, we can get a buff. I don't think any weapon category does this when I've read over them. So we can have either increased defense with lower movement speed, or we can have increased attack but lower defense. Alright. So we can see here, it's universal. You simply do it while your weapon is still sheathed. So you preferably do it before combat. Does not take any special magic or anything. No audio, no nothing. They simply get activated infinitely. So I'll grab both versions. Alright. Now what else we got? We got Flux here. Probably won't bother with that. We got, let's see, spins. Here's something interesting. The Mad Spinner. I'll take that. And I might take the upgraded version of that too. Which is, it's pretty much infinite. You keep spinning until you run out of ki. Now just think of all the damage and DPS I can do. So I'll grab that. Now where was it? No, it wasn't that. I'm looking for the parry move. No, it's fancy as it is, but no. Plus, the Cyclone Chain already did something similar. Oh, we can take this, the Roar. I want to try that. When guarding, it charge forward. There it is. The Spirit Wind. The parry and attack. Now this sounds like a better parry than the sword version, because the sword version only lets me flip behind an opponent, which, again, doesn't really do more damage, but it only hits one attack for most opponents. Alright. So, increase my damage or my defense. I'll try both. Alright, so yes, there's a lot of very different skills for the axe here. Now let's go try them all. First, let's try probably the parry and attack there. You can see there. So I must parry exactly when he attacks me, and it's an immediate counterattack. Okay, there's the Mad Spinner. But I want to try that Spirit Wind parry move first. Alright. Let's try it now. These opponents are rather easy. Block and attack. Well, that's incredibly useful. Even if you don't parry successfully, you still attack your opponent. Exactly, didn't take any damage. Excellent. Right, let's try the Mad Spinner. Very useful, though you run out of ki pretty quickly, depending how much you have. Alright. Let's try that damage block. Okay, what's that damage reduction say? Okay, take 149. We'll turn it on now. Let's see, here we go. Okay, hit me again. Okay, I take the same amount of damage, funny enough, but however, I'm not staggering. That's the one thing I do notice. I take the same amount of damage, but I don't stagger. They can be helpful, but its use is questionable if I don't really take any less damage. No matter though. We'll try the offensive version. But you see I move very slowly when I did that buff though. Ooh, that's slow. Alright. No, I might try to charge. Let's try to charge first. Alright, I'll do this attack at the end. There you go, that's pretty decent. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, I buff my damage. Of course, it leaves me with very little ki if I do it in middle battle. Okay, it's 860. But I got our target right up ahead. We'll compare damage with it and without. So 879. I'll do it again just to make sure. Yeah, 840. So 850 range. So now I got off. How much damage do I do? Oh, messing with me. Ooh, 600. So that's a major increase of damage. However, I take more damage when I have it active, though. So that's where I normally go into pros and cons, but no. I'm going to show you a little extra what I did with this axe, and why it's a good weapon set. Now, that parry and attack move is pretty damn useful. Observe, Irreverent. You've fought them before. They're not super complicated to fight, but they are implementations of human players. So I made him tire himself out into the point where I can knock him on the floor and follow up with attack. Even though he has a spear in greater range, I can still get close enough that it becomes null and void in this combat scenario. So there you go. Even though I didn't have to parry, I still attacked him. He didn't even get to hit me once. Now, another target. Leonor is a brutal target to fight. He's a pain in the ass in how he blocks. You can see his combos are quite something. With the Cyclone Chain, I could not win. With the sword, it was a long fight, and I keep getting killed halfway through. Now, I tried doing the parry and attack against him, but that was not taking me anywhere. I was always hitting him once, but he always hit me once. and he'll win that fight because he has more health than I do. You see, his combos are crazy. It's impossible to get away from him. So I changed my approach. I put on the defense style, this way I don't stagger, and now I'm going to cheese the fight, if you will. The Mad Spinner. He blocks, but he eventually loses, well, puts down his block as well. And when he does hit me, I don't stagger, so I can continue moving away from his combo, so he guarantees to hit me once. As you see here, he learns out a key. I hit him more than once. Alright, so we can get the idea. Now, let me speed this up. In the interest of time, you see I'm not cutting the footage at all. This is the strategy I did. This guy's capable of killing me in one combo if you use the right stuff. He's a nightmare to fight because when you actually hit him once with any other weapon, he immediately goes into guard mode, even if you parry. So using this method, I found actually it was relatively easy, because you see at this point, I have not only used 2 of my elixirs. I walked in with 9. I only used 2. And pretty easy fight in the end. Pretty easy. I used 4 of them at the end. So yeah, axes made this fight possible for me. Who would have figured? I certainly didn't when I thought of it at first. It's time to move on to the pros and cons of the heavy weapon set. Alright, some pretty easy pros and cons. For pros, you obviously got a lot of damage being outputted from these weapons. You have an incredibly wide diverse of skills, both buffs and actual movesets. That's excellent. And I guess visually it's the most diverse weapon set, because you actually got many different types, hence why I call it heavy weapons. Alright. On the cons, however, they are the slowest weapon set of all the weapons in the game, which is obvious. And because they're also one of the heaviest weapons in the game, they also consume a lot of ki of your stamina. Between things, you gotta manage that very carefully. And for a final con, although it's minor, I've only found 1 unique so far. I'm only possibly 2/3 of the game, but it's not too many, but those are pretty minor, but oh well. But that is very minor cons, well, expected cons. Going on to the score for the heavy weapon set, damage gets a 10 out of 10, it's the most powerful. That's easily said. Reach, well, wasn't really impressed, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's slightly better than the swords, but not a whole lot, to be honest. Skill-wise, I was incredibly impressed of all the weapons, 10 out of 10. With buffs and those physical moves, parries, physical attacks, you got a lot to choose from there. Speed, though, it's obviously very slow, but I'll give it a 2 out of 10. It's not so slow it's unwieldy, it's just quite slow compared to everything else. For a misc, I'll give it an 8 out of 10, because it's rather surprising, but I get to how these heavy weapons are balanced. Which I give kudos to the developer for doing a rather good job with it. It could easily have been fucked up, but here it is, just fine. So in total, the heavy weapons gets 36 out of 50. They are excellent weapons. Very excellent. Because I was expecting these things not to fare so well compared to everything else, but if you see someone coming up to you with one of these, be careful. He might just wreck you with one. So there you have it. The axes are actually a rather good addition to this game, despite them being a little odd being here. Still though, I kind of wish the Kanbo club weapon was more included. They're more historically accurate to the feudal Japan area, and during this time period, definitely. But yet they're nowhere to be seen. You could have easily added one to the whole weapon set, but that's something very minor. But oh well, they're excellent weapons. They're not my favorites, but I definitely recognize their good use. And when I'm fighting bigger opponents that you only get one hit off, I grab an axe. Anyway, that's been Showcase for today. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope to see you guys next time. Take care out there.